And we're live. Thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was stupid. But and in all reality,
I'm here for the cat.
I'm here for the cat. I'm here for the cats. No, but in all reality though, so I watched literally none of the inquiry today. Did you?
Hell no.
I have no idea who these two people are at this point.
Now they're just pulling people out of their ass.
That's what I'm saying. So like
they were so happy, like, oh, Sondland flipped. Oh,
Sondland had no allies in the court, and I don't even know where they are. But he had no allies in the chamber that day.
Everyone's like, "Oh, it's such a good day for us." Oh,
how?
Well, it's like, did you guys not like? Were you at the scene?
He's recanted so many things. Everything that he's said now is being thrown into question. Nobody believes a word out of that dude's mouth.
He perjured himself essentially, man.
Going to jail. I like that was like Ambassador Sondland's getting fired. You're like, no, just going to jail.
Shit. My bad. Yeah, he's going to fucking jail. Probably.
Absolutely.
Probably not, because they never fucking do. But
no, I was just about to say, what's his name, the head of the ATF and whatnot, because I was watching, because everybody was talking about like the last time. I don't. It was everybody was talking about like, oh, look at all of the like all the Trump officials and all of the shit that they're constantly getting into and all of this the horrible nonsense and blah 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 blah. And the person I was watching on YouTube was talking about like, oh, well, what about, like, and obviously total whataboutism, but it's just like, nobody bats an eye.
Nope.
When the, like the Fast and the Furious trials are going on.
I was just thinking.
Nobody even knew it was happening.
Yep.
And that is like one of the most blatant
here's what
signs of government corruption I think that you can ever see.
Here's blatant signs of government corruption.
Americans are killed by that.
Oh no, yeah. Here's another hypocritical thing, right? Obama prosecuted so many whistleblowers.
Oh,
so
I was really thinking that. I was like, to watch you go out and like spill the beans on like the actual body count of like civilians that drones take out.
Many.
I guarantee you're going to have no friends in the fucking chamber. They're going to be like, I can't believe that you would endanger American security like this.
Yep. And it's like you guys are
monster.
So hypocritical. It just blows my mind. But
so the main thing that I really, really, really wanted to talk about in regards to the impeachment inquiry was the fact that Viva Fry was talking about how we run into the potential problem of naming the quid pro quo as bribery with, especially like as we like move forward in this, like with the inquiry and more evidence comes out that we all already knew from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense in my mind to like come out here and label this, because it's like if he, like for some miraculous reason, the House does not vote to impeach him, which they shouldn't, because their constituents do not want them to do it. However, they all have a personal agenda to be up there. That's why I think. Oh, yeah. Talking about the people's house and shit over here, like, oh, it's the people's house.
No, I mean, it's supposed to be. But, no, I mean, I think it's like they haven't been listening to what their constituency wants. And a lot of these blue districts, like, voted for Trump. Like, in the presidential election, they voted for him, and they still voted blue in 2018. And there's a union in Minnesota or Wisconsin that's always talking about, like, yeah, like we're going to vote for Trump, but we're Democrats.
I mean, okay, am I wrong in saying that like conservatives vote more than liberals? Tyler, could you potentially look that up?
Well, I mean, you could say that more young people are liberals and less young people vote, so you could argue that point, but then you'd have to look at like.
Well, I just think to myself,
the other demographics.
I think to myself, like conservatives have in their heart of hearts, the natural conservative way.
Sure.
You're more proud of like your nationality. I think you're more interested in the way that things are like running. Because you want to make sure that things stay on like the. Like, oh, I like the way that things are. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep things the way they are. You want to conserve the...
Yeah. I mean, that's what traditionally it's supposed to mean. I mean, the traditional liberal is supposed to mean liberty. It's like, where you see where that goes. But
no, so am I wrong in thinking that, like, that it would just maybe I am, but, like, like it makes more sense to me that, like, Republicans, just as a base, would be more interested in voting than Democrats.
I mean, you can make that argument because look at what happened in 2016. Though one of the alleged reasons that Hillary lost, and like there's some ground to it, is the fact that low voter turnout on the Democrat side. They just assume that like no one's gonna fucking vote for Trump. She's projected to win 92% to 8. And it's like
92% to 8.
And it's like, nope. They came out full fledged, man.
So Dad thinks that Bloomberg's gonna get the
nomination.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, he's already projected candidate. He's not even tossed his name. He hasn't officially announced yet.
Do you think he's gonna do it?
Probably, yeah. And I think it's gonna fizzle. I mean, I don't know. I think so. Here's the thing: it's so early on in the game because it's still 2019 that they have up until what, February before Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
They got time. He's got plenty of time. You know, he hasn't wasted his resources. In fact, right now he's getting publicity without even like officially announcing or campaigning. He's already out there, and he already is polling higher than Klobuchar in like most places, or Castro. He's polling higher than Castro, I think.
Yeah, Castro wasn't even at the last debates.
Yeah, he didn't have enough. Like, he didn't qualify. And he's polling at like 0% in Iowa and New Hampshire.
Well, okay. In Castro's defense, he has not been on the campaign trail whatsoever because he's been too busy with these insane. And he's
not in it. He was the HUD secretary. That's his brother, Joaquin.
That is his brother.
Yeah, they're twins.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
Joaquin has the
they are
beard.
twins. Son of a bitch, dude.
Joaquin,
oh, my God.
Yeah, Joaquin is the one who leaked corporation or entrepreneurs. I think it was entrepreneurs. Just donors, right? In a district for that were Trump supporters. He leaked their names and their businesses.
He doxed them?
No. He just thinks that people need to know who's donating to him. It's public information.
Is it?
I mean, yeah, if you look it up, I think you can find it. And that's his excuse for getting away with it. But he put it out there. He tweeted it. I think it's still up. Probably still up.
Shit. Did you find anything, Tyler?
Not really my party. The voter turnout for the 2018 generals was like just above 50%, but hard to find how that information compares to registered party voters.
Yeah,
True.
see, that's kind of what I was just about to say. Like, because I vote pretty regularly in like local elections and whatnot, but like
I voted the other day.
I don't.
Like 2 weeks ago.
I was just about to say. I was like, what do you mean the other day?
Like
a couple of weeks ago. Right? But no, I don't think I'm not registered. So
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not part of a registered party. I'm probably gonna, depending on who's like looks like they may run in 2024. I might register Republican so I can vote in that because I want Rand Paul to run. If Rand Paul runs, I'll fucking vote for that motherfucker in a heartbeat.
over Trump.
No, because Rand Paul's finishing on his Senate career. It'll be up by 2022.
Is he done though? He's not seeking re-election.
He's made it clear that he's not seeking re-election because he's doing 2 terms. Because he's a proponent of term limits, I believe. But I don't. He
is.
Yeah. So he's only gonna do his 2 terms, and then I think he's up in 2020, or 2022, and he's not gonna run against Trump. Because I mean, Trump's gonna be obviously. president by 2 years.
And that was my thing. I was like, any Republican.
No,
even if you don't like the man, like it's just you're not gonna win.
No. So he has 2 years to get a campaign ready by 2024.
Has it ever happened like a president with the incumbent advantage lost to somebody in their own party?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, maybe.
Tyler?
Hey, pull that shit up.
Yeah, Tyler, can you pull that shit up real quick? No, I mean that's an interesting thought because it can't possibly be something that happens very often. The last time it had to have happened had to be like if it has ever happened, I'm calling 1800. No.
What was the question?
Has a president with has
an incumbent president ever been beaten by somebody there in their own party?
Yeah.
And I think so.
I honestly, I also think so.
And
I'm just curious as to.
Probably in the older times.
Yeah,
the old
back in the
times.
old days.
Yeah, back
when they were still like figuring out how the parties were working,
like the Whigs and fucking shit. The Democratic Republicans or whatever they were. The Whigs and the Democratic Republicans.
Yeah, I was about to say, dude, the
Federalists and not Federalists.
I mean, the old folks wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, like I was about to say, like the first generation of American politicians hated the idea of parties, didn't they?
No.
What?
It was designed. I mean,
No. There was I feel like there
No,
was a
the
bunch of people in like the Continental Congress that were saying like parties will.
No, like the fact that like so parties that we see today, so they were called factions back in the day, not parties. And the whole thing was designed to have a two-faction system. And the idea that they were trying to get away was not that we're not going to have parties whatsoever. It was don't become the party, like don't let the party become the identity.
Hey,
HW and Pat Buchanan.
Oh, for the primary?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh nice.
Oh, yeah, and and Pat Buchanan lost to fucking Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dude, he was HW was so upset about that. And like I understand why. Like I mean, he's a horrible
but yeah,
person.
but okay, yeah, I was just about to say, but I mean, he's coming off of like a bad. But that's a lot more recently than I thought. Wow, I feel like an idiot. People are going to be listening to this going
like, you're
yeah,
so
no,
fucking
you're
stupid.
stupid.
Like, do you not remember? No.
No, wasn't around.
I was around for Bill's second term.
Do we used to watch that video in civics class about Bill Clinton's campaign?
The first black president.
When there's like all this stuff with him and the saxophone and whatnot. He's got what's his name, dude? I don't remember his name. The Raging Cajun.
Raging Cajun.
Yeah, who's the Raging Cajun? What's his name? God damn, I feel really stupid for not remembering this guy. He's like a super famous political
You're gonna need me like there's a lot of those.
like political advisor.
All of
like
it.
super famous for like the Democrats.
I was gonna say Roger Stone.
He's like the Roger Stone of the Democrats.
Douglas Kershaw.
Yes. He's super weird looking motherfucker.
Henry Kissinger.
Player, singer, songwriter from Louisiana.
Yep.
Since 1948.
That would be the man.
Recorded 15 albums and charted on the Hot Country Songs chart.
Can you pull up his picture over here, like, so I can actually like see him? But I'm pretty sure he's the same guy.
Let me see if I can find.
Find a picture of him with Bill, if you can.
Yeah, it should just who was Bill Clinton's campaign advisor?
Malcolm West. I don't know.
That is not the guy.
That is not him.
That is absolutely not him.
Well, that is the Raging Cajun.
No.
Wrong
Google,
Raging
wrong.
Cajun.
I'm sure it's like Charlie said. There's probably a bunch of Raging Cajuns.
There's plenty.
Raging
no,
Cajun,
where you
and
going?
plenty. Yeah, just type in Bill Clinton's campaign advisor. That'll pop up. Who I'm looking for? That guy.
James Carville.
Oh, the
James
dude who looks like a
Carville.
fucking snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Well,
fucking
he is
weirdo.
a snake.
I mean, yeah, I have no lips.
No, dude, he talks like Gambit from the X-Men.
Oh yeah. He's got a
cartoon.
thick Louisiana
Like
accent.
insanely thick.
Yeah. This guy's fucking
Calls women like Cheryl and shit. How you doing there, Cheryl? Come here now, girl. I'm gonna tell you something a little quicker now. I'm just gonna run around this, in the big old pond of swamp ducks and stuff. Go.
swamp ducks and stuff.
I don't know how Cajuns talk, man. Not trying to be insulting to Cajuns or
Definitely
anything.
not like that.
That was definitely not it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna try.
Okay, that's fair.
Like,
That's a fair. That's a fair.
It'll be
point,
worse.
yeah.
It'll be worse.
Super cringy.
It'll be real bad.
But I've always kind of been like I always think that the independent party should have more of like a point in the system. So like when you run into these, what was
Whoops.
that?
Oops. I was powering up, man.
So I always thought that like
I'm trying to close.
any Team
tab.
4-Star fans out there will recognize that brief 1-second soundbite.
I'm sorry, that shouldn't have played through this stream.
Oh, okay, good. So nobody's gonna have any idea what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
they're gonna think I'm making. I just said some weird shit then.
fair.
All right.
Maybe that did play.
Anybody that was curious, if it didn't do it, maybe it did.
Leave an F in the chat.
Yeah, no,
because
I was
that
gonna say,
just
I
ruined
always-
a whole episode.
I always hear Jim Sterling say shit like this, where he'll be like, he's like, oh, don't. So like a lot of like really loud sounds are playing in my headphones right now. Don't worry, you won't be able to hear them. And it's like you can hear it so fucking clearly, and you're just like, wow.
Go like that. That's fucking loud.
Yeah, it's just like Jesus.
I mean, look, like this, so here's the thing, right? Like people are like, especially with.
So like I just feel like right now, and maybe this
Yeah.
is just like for these unique situations, and it can't really be taken into account. But I feel like right now, if the independent party had like an actual voice,
Which
in-
independent party?
like just an independent party.
Which
like,
one?
I know it's like
Which one?
One that's not like. Let's assume.
Okay, so here's how here's how parties work in the United States. So you have the two-party system that the United States has because we have what they call a winner-take-all system. So when you vote, say we have one president, right? Say like if we don't share 33% of the presidency with a party that wins a third of the votes, right? It's winner take all. Even if he 50-50 pretty much, usually every time. 50-50.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like for the executive stuff and whatnot.
It's
like I still like
for
the
everything.
idea. I still like the idea of like the winner take all system. I'm just saying.
How do you do that with a multiple party system, man?
They do it in England.
No, they don't. It's not a winner take all system there.
It's not.
No. They get 33% of the seats if they win the third of the votes.
Ew.
Yeah, they split seats.
Did you ever watch Parliament? It's a mess. But no,
yeah,
like,
of course. It's fucking gross.
No, but okay. So like my point basically comes down to like situations where we have Congress basically divided among party lines. Like we have got people like we're about to pass. Like the House is about to pass an impeachment.
What is that?
What?
I can't read that. First past the post. Yeah. And they get the fucking the votes for it, right?
Ew.
Is this Canada, BC, or is it something else? British Columbia.
British Columbia. That is a gross.
Yeah. So
way
they
to do things.
But I mean,
Well, that's what you get when you have the monarchy and whatnot. That's like overloaded.
Okay,
Like,
yeah, but
Parliament's got.
I mean,
only,
so
much-
hypothetically, you could do a multi-party system in the United States, but it's always going to result in one of the two main parties. I mean, technically, we have like a bastardization of a two-party system because we do allow for third-party candidates. Like, look at Gary Johnson, got what 1% in the 2016 election.
But like, I like the idea of. I would just like the idea because I hate the fact that right now our system has boiled down to an area where we are going to. The House is almost undoubtedly, no matter what Nancy Pelosi says, which is like, oh, nobody wants to come in here and impeach a president.
She wanted to. They wanted to since 2017, bro.
But
we're gonna go in there and repeat the motherfucker.
The
Rashida Tlaib, fucking Wario looking ass.
The thing that like really bugs me about this though is that like this is exactly like what's going on in the UK. We've got the House of Representatives is going to go against what the people of the country that they represent
because those damn peasants and commoners don't know what's good for them.
And that's
because like it's exactly what Nancy Pelosi said. It's like it's too dangerous to let the election decide. So what you're saying by that is you don't think that the people
look at
should
what's
vote for their
going
leader?
on in England.
Oh no!
I
with their pedophile ass prince. No,
I totally don't like. I guess assuming this is coming from a position
Allegedly.
of power.
Allegedly,
no, there's no. I'll go on defamatory slang. Fuck him. He's royal family, dude. Like. Did you watch his goddamn interview? He's about to give.
I've been
busy
all day.
Yeah, he's about to give information to the intelligence community
About
of America about Jeffrey Epstein. How in his interview he sat there and said, "Oh, I barely knew Jeffrey Epstein. I was friends with his girlfriend, who's also being fucking indicted in this whole goddamn mess."
She was there too.
She was the one luring people in.
She was a fucking pimp, bro.
No, but anyway, back to the party thing. I think that like it. What we're going against the will of the people. Like there needs to be a medium. I think at the very least it would make sense to me for there to be some sort of medium ground where it's like, oh well, I could fall into either one of these categories.
All right, so I'll tell you right now, you can do that. Vote third party. I advocated for it in 2016 to vote third party. I still didn't because they don't count fucking absentee ballots.
No, and that's I know, and that's pretty much what I'm saying though. It's just like as of right now, it's nothing. And I'm just saying,
what I'm saying, like the whole mentality is like, well, it's just nothing. So what's the point? Then like, how are you going to start if you never even like? How are you going to finish the presidential race with an independent? I mean, you can call Bernie Sanders an independent, but that motherfucker's a Democratic socialist.
No, I mean, because like
he caucuses with the Democrats. Yes,
Bernie's doing the right thing because if he is truly an independent, let's assume for the sake that he is,
if he was truly an independent, he wouldn't caucus with these people.
No, dude, if he was truly an independent and he wanted to get into power, he absolutely would caucus with these people because he realizes that as a true independent, he has no real ground.
That's a realist, but that's not a true independent.
Well, that's fair. That's fine. So if he was Bernie's a realist.
He is
he's not a good independent.
Sure.
I'll give you that. He's a bad independent, but he's a realist when it comes to how he actually gets to a position of power. I mean, like that's the fucked thing. I mean, like that. While I'll give the system the credit it's due that it allows for this to even happen in the first place. which is awesome.
Hold on,
We've built this up around the two-party system for the last like 100 and some change years.
Yeah. No, so the reason okay, so here's the reason why the two-party system
Probably
is
200 and some change years at this point almost.
What are you talking about? How old the United States is?
What?
How old the United States is? 243 years.
So yeah, I mean, how old is the two parties?
Oh fuck. Okay, so the Republican Party as we know it,
because that would be that's Lincoln, right?
The 1850s, and then like they're Democrats before that, maybe the 1820s.
Okay, so yeah, so about 100 and some change years we've been dealing with the party system.
200, almost 200.
Almost. Yeah.
I mean, it's 2020 next year, bro.
Well, I mean, like if we're talking Democrats coming out and I'm
the same Democratic Party, bro.
It's about 200 years.
The party switched. The party switched. Look at Nixon's Southern strategy.
No, I think voting lines switched.
Okay,
the parties didn't switch, but the voting lines switched. So like,
what do you mean?
So I feel like in the early days and whatnot, because that was a thing. So like when they talk about like the voting lines like switching and whatnot would be like what in the 50s and the 60s or whatever.
50s, 60s, and 70s.
So
around the time that Richard Nixon started. So when Richard Nixon started running, a lot of historians disagree on this, but my professor, who has tenure, is allowed to say this.
There's a lot of really stupid people out there
with impunity. She can tout a unproven theory in class.
Who gave her tenure? Jesus Christ!
I have no fucking idea, because she says the right things that liberals want to hear. But what I'm saying is she talks about the Southern strategy and how Nixon started to appeal to the racist Democrats in the South to win. It's like, sure. Look at the presidential maps from 1960, whenever he fucking ran, to like now. Shows that it's red, right? I mean, typically red in the South. But here, you want to see something fucking wild? I'll wait for Tyler to come back, ask him to pull up the congressional elections from 1850 up to the present.
Well, when did black people get the right to vote?
The 14th Amendment?
Yeah.
14th and 15th Amendment? That was right after the Civil War. And that was passed by Republicans.
So they got the right. So they've said they've been able to vote, but like
yes, but there's
not without impunity.
So
though,
real voter suppression was happening.
Yeah,
with that shit, with the Jim Crow laws and literacy tests and grandfather clauses and stuff. Blah blah blah.
Well, see, that's where I'm saying like it's kind of hard to tell exactly
Tyler, my
when.
Man, could you look up congressional election maps from like from 1970, just like senatorial maps of the U.S.
But
like a map of are you looking at me and typing?
He can do that.
Oh shit!
Because he's a pro.
The IT from like 1970. Just show the US. Like, look at that fucking South. Look at that South.
Looks blue.
Looks blue as shit.
Super blue.
Yeah. What's this one? Is that new?
Is that Trump's?
The United States Senate elections.
Yep. Yeah. Look at that. Look how fucking blue that is. You can look at them throughout time. It wasn't up until the 90s that I think it started switching. So the whole idea that the Republicans were appealing to the racist South is like that. Who? What Republicans are you talking about?
No,
they say Democratic up until the 90s.
Well, that's what they kind of like. So that was like the whole. So like the big claim is that like people who normally would have been Democrats, when black people started voting for Democrats, they weren't. Like when black people started like really picking up the vote, like
during the Civil Rights movement,
yes, and they were primarily living in the South. Like the people, like the Democrats that would have been running on the Democratic ticket and whatnot switched their ticket.
Fucking Florida.
That's like my mind went like immediately to Florida.
All right, so hot take, right? About that election, right? The 2000 election in Florida. Do you know what county that was? Broward County. Do you know what school is in Broward County? You might know a famous person from Broward County. His name is David Hogg, and he's a high school student. Well, now he's a college student.
Oh, Broward County was really the one that was holding everything up?
Yes, and it was also the same county as the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Really?
Yep.
God damn, Florida.
Yep. Obama McCain. Yeah, but you can see like, all right, so like you saw like the South was fairly mixed, right? As we saw that with blue and red.
Right.
No more so than Midwest states or the Rockies.
Right.
But when we look at the congressional elections, when you look at the Senate and you look at the House, it stays blue for a fuck ton of like a while, a long time.
Well, I mean, like, I think that, like, a party switch and whatnot would be...
You can call it a party switch, but the only evidence you had are like, look at the presidency. Oh, look at the Republic.
Well, like I said, it's just, like, when you have people over time, you know, like, so it's like if you were running, you know, like, so if you were, you know, practicing, you know, like your regular old conservatism and stuff that you really, really liked.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then, you know, like the Republicans started pandering to a whole bunch of people that, you know, like you do not agree with.
Sure.
You know, like in order to gain votes of a certain type of people. You know, like
Appealing to the Southern Democrat racists.
it's not unheard of for somebody to be like, okay, well, we're going to switch
Where's my favorite?
our political allegiances because...
All right. The Myth of Nixon's Southern Strategy by The Hill. Written in 2018. Fairly recent. And it talks about how, like, Nixon barely campaigned there. I mean, like, yes, he campaigned in the South. Who doesn't? Everyone does. But, like, the thing is, you study the actual campaign tactics that he did, he's hardly fucking there. And it doesn't, you don't, Nixon was a huge civil rights guy on the campaign trail.
Oh, I'm sure.
Huge. And are we just going to ignore that? Are you going to, like, just because the Republicans are bad now and we think that they're racist and evil, Nixon was the one that made him.
I think it's just because he's pro-war, man. Like,
sure.
people
Nixon
don't
was a
like
pro-war
that.
guy, and he was probably
Nixon's pro-war and pro-family.
Baru.
Baru.
I'm pro-Charleston too. Baru. Agnew. No, like Nixon, I'm not going to try to defend the guy, but no, I'm not going to say that he was a racist. I mean, sure, you can argue that based on other things, but his campaign strategy was not racist. Sure, he might have been a racist deep down, truly, because, I mean, the whole thing with marijuana thing and his attorney general talking about, like, yeah.
Oh, with the Jews and whatnot?
Yeah, and like because they know what communities use it and shit. So it's like,
I forget what he said. He said some fucked up shit in that thing, dude. It's not even, like, bad fucked up. Just, like I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, oh, that's a president, huh?
oh, shit.
So he's just, like, a regular guy. That's crazy.
He's a California Republican, just like fucking Reagan, dude. Well, I think Reagan was better than Nixon, but I mean, Reagan had his faults.
Dude.
Reagan had his faults.
They all have their faults.
I know,
but Nixon
fucked up.
See, here's the thing. Nixon, like Reagan, it's hard to say, like, per se, but both these are conflict time presidents.
Yeah, I mean, look at the time that, like, Nixon came into presidency during the middle of the Vietnam War. It's like, shit. What do? Pull out? You keep going. He's like, no, dude, we sunk so much fucking time and money in here. Let's fucking go. And you're right. I don't condone.
No, I can understand where that mentality comes from because with this sunk cost fallacy, this is human lives that you're playing with here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is like American pride by the time Nixon
it wasn't even like the domino effect that played into it. They were like afraid that it was going to fall to communism.
How long was JFK president for?
He got shot in his second term.
Well, I know he was in his second term. How far into his second term?
1965.
So that would have been...
So it was a 72 election, which means it was 68 and then 64. So he got reelected in 64.
Damn, so he was shot like right into it, huh?
Same thing with FDR in his fourth term.
Yeah, but I mean, he shouldn't have been there.
I mean,
fucking one more of those terms. Like, he should have died at home.
Well, the thing was, he's the only one to do it, and there was nothing against it, so why not? And it was a wartime, and I understand the reasoning behind it. But the argument against it was like, he's trying to become just like the dictators in Europe. He's trying to run and become president for life, and there's nothing to stop him. And then introduced, what was the 22nd Amendment after that?
Well, I mean, like, it's very important. I mean, like, so if you actually sit back and look at all of the social implications and the social programs that he, like, put forth.
Social Security?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
like,
going bankrupt?
I could understand why people would be kind of like, oh, well, look at him. He's doing the exact same thing that, you know, the dictators over in Europe are doing.
Yeah.
He's promoting socialist ideas. He's coming out.
Truman.
You know.
Truman.
Colin's dad?
No. No. Colin Truman?
No, Colin's Sean Geddes.
Yeah.
He looks just like him.
No, yeah, but Truman here, man, fucking, because FDR was working with, like, he was like, let's let Russia possibly take over some conflict in the Pacific. I mean,
yeah, no,
Japan hated him.
Look what happened with that, you know, like.
Yeah, and then you get to drop, but I mean, then Truman was like, I'm gonna drop this fucking bomb, yo. I'm gonna drop mad bombs on these fucking Orientals. This is my interpretation of what he would say.
Oh, what you say? Oh, we're just gonna drop mad bombs on those Orientals.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, we're gonna go drop mad bombs on those Orientals.
And get those aliens out of Area 51.
Get those aliens out of Area 51. Get the birds up in the air. Drop those bombs.
Actually, I mean, I think the Area,
Buy
Area
war
51 was
bonds.
like, what, 1957 or some shit like that?
Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell was in the 1950s.
Yeah, that's the 50s.
1950.
Area 51, probably. I don't know. Tyler? When did Area 51 become a thing? Is that declassified information? Would somebody tell us that, actually?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Right? Did you see Candace Owens on Rogan?
Way back when, or is she doing another one?
I think she did another one. Thought it was recent. It was like 13 something. What do you mean way back when? What would that be, like 900? How far way back when are we talking? Like 500 episodes? 1,000 episodes? 100 episodes?
Like a while ago, man. Like that's an old episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Here, hold on. Joe Rogan. Candace Owens. A year ago, fam. A year ago.
Bro, I don't know what I was thinking. I swear I saw one earlier today that it was like 13 something. But obviously not.
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
Obviously a decoy.
Obviously a decoy.
It's 11:25, so. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna shit talk Candace Owens. I think she's a little high strung for me, but
some of like Candace has done awesome things for.
She's definitely made a name for herself.
Yeah, I just don't buy. I don't like.
She's like my age.
I don't like to buy into all the identity politics though, and that's like.
I think her point of view, because she started the whole Blexit thing.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing where it's just
no. I understand it. Like I don't the thing with identity politics that really irks me is like, oh, you must treat me. Since we're getting into identity politics, I'm going to bring up the thing I told you about yesterday, and I'm going to get my chance on it. But the thing with identity politics, and the reason I'm okay with what she does is they're saying, don't lump me into your group because of who I am. I'm free to speak my own fucking mind. Yeah, and it's the same thing that Kanye West was saying too.
Yeah, but then that you openly go preach, like because you are who you are, you shouldn't have to listen to these people.
Yeah.
No, you're literally just flipping it back around to match your criteria.
She's not saying come listen to me. She's saying you don't have to listen to them.
No, but you start like a movement of specific people doing these things and whatnot. Obviously you don't have to listen to you.
Yeah.
But if you are the one that's preaching, oh, hey, you know what? Because you're black, because you think this way, don't let them tell you that you're messed up. No, it is literally the exact same thing. You're just playing into the other side.
Attributing it a target to her statement. Is there a target to her statement? You'd have to ask her. But the fact is she's saying it openly. It's an open context statement.
Right.
So to whom it may apply, there you go. She's not going up to a Al Franken going like, they're just brainwashing you.
So, it is still the same thing. It's still identity politics. Like, maybe it's not as forced down your throat as it is on the other side, but because you're playing into what makes you unique as a person, like your race, your gender, stuff like that. When you come out.
So I get the point where she's coming with why she is the one saying it, because it's the only language that some people listen to.
So once again, we go back to the realist argument. She's a realist, but that doesn't mean that she's not using identity politics.
No, I'm going to probably regret saying this, but you can use identity politics. What the flaw? I mean, yeah, that's the whole point of civil rights movement was identity politics.
Yeah,
am I wrong?
If we're moving, it was a movement is something that has a beginning. And it has an ending.
I'm not saying it's
okay. That's kind of.
But I'm saying there are situations that it can apply.
And these are people who the majority of society at that point in time agreed were on different levels. So it's like if you're looking at, you've got all of these white people that are like, you know, like up in the north and whatnot, who are like, oh, you know, like, I mean, I don't care about black people doing whatever they want to do. That's fine. You know, like, I've still got probably some prejudices that I won't say out loud, but for the most part, I think that they should have the same general freedom that we do.
Okay.
You get people who were raised down south who've, you know, always thought to themselves like that they're just a little bit less than whole.
All right.
So you need to get a movement together where it's like, okay, we're going to convince society as a whole that this is not the correct way to think, because the only thing that they're asking for is just equal treatment, which they absolutely were not getting at that point in time.
Of course. All right, so here
they are now.
All right, I'm going to attribute motive to Candace Owens here for a hypothetical reason. Hopefully you can understand why I'm attributing motive to her. If you truly think that party that they're voting for, that you truly think that the Democratic Party has not changed since then, and that they're truly mind controlling these people or manipulating them to vote for them against their best interest, don't you think that she would still think that that's part of the movement?
Here's my thing. Like, I have
like she and I'm sorry to cut you off, but she frequently talks about, I am not your pocket victim to pull out every 4 years. And that's what she thinks as like a racial system. She's using them. She thinks that they're being used as the token black card.
Yeah, which they absolutely are.
Is that not in itself racist?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's fighting against it by using identity politics, right?
Yeah, but that's not.
But the reason that I am against identity politics, you're like, you need to respect me for who I am because I'm trans. It's like, what does that have to do with anything now?
Yeah, but once again, like,
That's
this was a movement that was created on equal rights. What is, besides the fact, like, if somebody's treating you like the token black guy and you don't want to be treated like the token black guy, then leave. You know,
But, like,
and
what she-
if,
okay,
if
but
you
what
want, if
she's-
you want somebody that's going to tell you to do that, or if you want to hear that from somebody else, that's fine too.
Sure.
But the person who is, you know, up there preaching, hey, don't, like, think about how they talk to you. Think about what they do. Doesn't that upset you? Yes. Okay. Well, then you should think about Blexiting, because these things upset you.
Sure.
That is playing into people's identity politics in order to potentially, you know, I mean, maybe it's a good thing in this situation, but I mean, like,
I think it's appropriate in certain situations, and I think that, yes.
I mean,
most
like,
certainly it's appropriate in certain situations.
it used to be appropriate in certain situations, but I
So
don't
if something
think
like that were to arise now, it would not be.
No, I
appropriate?
think that if something like that were to arise now, where we had
So
people with direct, like, less than equal rights than other people, like, if you were, I mean, we're talking about rights here. We're talking about, like, you know, the right to vote in your elections. We're talking about the right to, you know, like, speak your mind without punishment.
What about discrimination?
I think you have the right to discriminate.
The Supreme Court doesn't.
Really? I mean, you as a private citizen, I think, has the right to discriminate against somebody else.
Okay,
for whatever reason
if you're
you want.
If you're a private business owner, do you think you should be able to do that then? You can't.
No, I don't think so, because I don't really know what is a private business owner.
Mom and pop sandwich shop.
Yeah, but, like, you're still trying to sell stuff to the public, you know, like, it only makes sense that, like, if you are trying to do business in the public sphere,
It makes sense, right?
you have to deal with the public.
Sure.
That end of story. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, that's
regardless,
you know,
if they like.
if you want to play ball, you have to. You know, like, you got to play ball. You know, like, you want all of the tax help and whatnot from your small business. You want all of this stuff. You know, like, all the benefits and shit that you're going to get.
What if I don't? What if I don't want?
Then
any of that?
open your small business somewhere not America, is what I would tell you. Because
I mean, I don't think that there should be. This is going. Then we're getting into the fact of, like, how much should the business be inside my how much should the government be in my business?
They're not in your business at all. They're just telling you that you need to play by, like, these specific rules
that they set.
This is basically like them telling you that, hey, you want to operate in the public sphere. You know, in society, you want to be able to manufacture something / sell it /
sell it to who I want to sell it to, because you are free to choose to sell to whoever you want, right? Is that not in itself a form of discrimination?
But, like, once again, like, you still need to, like, take into account, like,
it's still a discrimination, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely, I would suppose. But I mean, like, if somebody comes in there and they're talking shit.
Doesn't have to be. Like, doesn't have to be talking shit. What if you just don't want to make their cake?
pretty sure he even said that he had no problem making their cake. It was the writing on top of it that he would not do because it went against his religious beliefs.
Making the cake, right?
Yeah, but he would still
don't split hairs on the details.
No, but he would still make the cake though.
Right.
He had no issue making the cake for those two gay guys.
This has happened several times with this guy, right?
I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, somebody that's obviously going to make a big deal about it.
No. So what the thing is, he said, no, I'm not going to make the cake. Regardless of the reason that he says he's not going to make the fucking cake, right? Would you agree to that? That's a factual statement. So yes, he did not agree. He agreed not to make the cake because of something the client wanted, or because of who the clients were.
Yeah, but that's not what he said. The dude said in an interview that I told them that I would make their cake. Yeah. I would just not put the writing on top of it. And he has said that I have told other people who have come in asking the same thing, I will make your cake, but I will not put writing on it. So when the other party, the buying party, pushes it just a little bit more, well, I demand that you make my cake and put the writing on it.
No, then at that point, thing.
No,
it's
because
still the same,
because you are still willing to provide them with the product that you make. You are not willing to violate your own personal beliefs.
Until one thing. Exactly, that's it. You have your moral set of values that determines what product to whom you will not sell.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like once again,
yes, this gay couple is the analogous here, but like what I'm trying to say is he had the right to say no to whoever he wanted to, and I think that is that in itself not a form of discrimination because he can pick any factor he wanted to not make that cake.
Yeah, but like once again, like we don't live in a world that would allow you to open up a business storefront without you having to pay taxes to the government, without you having to report things to the government, without you having to do this, no matter how much you don't want to do it. So certain rights, like being
Japan does it. So what I'm saying is like you can do this. You can literally go out there and run a business and not let foreigners come in. You can literally do that and not have a collapse of your business. It can happen. It can really happen. And to say that it's like
tried to do that to gay people.
I mean, they have. Like it's you can't come in or like look. The same thing with employment. You can choose like, no, I'm not going to hire you as a waiter because you're a guy, and this is Hooters. Why is that okay? Why is that form of discrimination not okay? Why did my small business owner boss tell me I could not be a waiter when I was just a dishwasher? She said, because you're not a girl. I'm not trying to make this like a meninist argument here, but what I'm saying is that not a form of discrimination?
Yeah. But,
okay, and they're legally operating inside society. Yeah, so what is your point?
But like specific business models and whatnot provide certain things. You, as the employee, don't have a say in what you get to do for your job, unfortunately.
Cool. I don't want to, like, hypothetical, this isn't real. I'm not going to hire you because people don't like black waiters. Maybe.
Then that is your prerogative
that's
as
all
an employee.
I'm saying.
But you're not going to tell that person that.
You
like
can?
If that's, yeah, you can. And I guarantee you somebody makes a big deal about it.
So? Sure, people make a big deal out of a lot of stuff.
Because that's
actually illegal.
Yeah, that's discrimination against with
employment opportunity.
Right. So
on race lines. Like you can't do that. You can't do it. Not here. Like it's illegal.
Not what I'm saying is like they get to come in there and say that's illegal, right? Because you can't discriminate against somebody against their skin color or gender, right? But you can still have a place called Hooters with no male wait staff.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. You're not gonna.
Why not?
You're not gonna walk into Hooters and be like, "Yo, can I get some wings?" And they're gonna be like, "No, you're not a woman. Get out of here."
They had a feminist bar that taxed men, and yes, it went out of business. But that's not the point I'm trying to make.
The point is in the hiring practices, you have to have equal opportunity for any employment opportunity that you are.
But this is not. But we are not talking. We have gotten derailed. We are not talking about hiring people. We are talking about the customer.
And it is your right to refuse service to anyone as a business owner.
Yeah, for whatever reason you want, and that is how they draw that line. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you continue to not serve people because, of whatever, whatever reason, I mean, like because like, oh, I don't want to serve black people, prime example. I don't think that your business is going to do very well because
Sure.
the word is probably going to spread. Oh, this
Of
guy doesn't
course.
want to serve black people for that exact reason.
Sure.
Like, I can get behind somebody being like, yo, my religious values say, like, these things that I hold very near and dear to my heart say that, no, I will not write what you want me to write on this cake. However, you know, this man still recognizes that as a business owner, he is there to serve a product to the public.
Yeah, but he's under no obligation to sell to whoever demands it.
No, and that's fine. But once again, I stand by the statement I made earlier that if you want to play ball, you know, like you have to play by the rules.
You should. Like, I'm not saying don't. What I'm saying is you don't have to. You don't. You should, but you don't have to.
But didn't you just say that the Supreme Court says that it's illegal?
It is. Yeah, the Supreme Court says it's illegal to discriminate against
people along racial lines. Yeah.
It's like Title IX stuff. But what I'm saying is I've also kind of forgot what I was saying. I'm inebriated.
No, but that's kind of like where my whole thing just plays down to the fact that it's like if you're using your identity as like
Candace Owens.
Yeah, if you're using
that's it.
If you're using, you know, like your skin color as your jumping off platform, I don't think it's going
not
to
a
go
good
very
ground to come from.
far.
And this is what I was trying to talk about earlier, because race isn't real. All right, I'm going to say it. Race isn't a real thing. And this is it is truly a socially constructed thing. And like when people are like, well, gender is a social construct. That is a biological thing. Race is not. But this is kind of how we got into our talk.
I was going to say this is probably a good segue into that thing that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
So, but like, the thing is that race, like, how do you, where does race fall on the phylum, right? On like the hierarchy of species and stuff, or hierarchy of life, or whatever the fuck Darwin called it. You know, like kingdom, phylum, order, genus,
right? Yeah,
all that shit.
Yeah.
Where does race? It should fall under species, right?
Technically,
right? Because we're Homo sapiens, right? So it should fall under species. So a different classification of the Homo sapien species. How? What characteristic? You don't. There's no characteristic like Homo sapiens, they don't have the occipital bunding on the back of their head. The postocular constriction's not there. They have a more less prognatic face. Like, they have a chin. We have a mandible. That makes us Homo sapiens, right? The fact that we're tool-using, smart, upright, walking apes. That makes us Homo sapiens. What makes a person African? Race. Well, what's a race? What are the parameters of a race that define it?
I think mainly skin color, right?
Sure,
I mean,
the skin color.
the
So it's like
we...
the Aboriginal from Australia is the same race as the Somalian from the Horn of Africa.
They certainly act like it whenever they're around, whenever they're in America. That's for sure.
Sure, I don't know, but
well, I mean, like you look at Kamala Harris, where it's just like, you know, Kamala Harris is walking.
I mean, when you watch shows like or movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, you know, and you're on a universal context, then you know race. You no longer.
Race isn't just human.
No,
that black human over there.
Yeah, it's a human. It's just fucking human. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why race isn't like. There's no scientific way to actually measure race. Like it's like I'm going to count the amount of melanin in your skin. Well, even at that point, it's like, well,
midichlorians in your blood.
No. But no, like it's like you can't. Like, okay, we're brothers, but I might have more melanin. I might be tanner than you. I don't know.
Probably not.
I don't know, but still, you have more melanin than me then.
Well, I would say that we're probably about the same color.
Sure, but I'm sure you're gonna have more. But is it like a range? What if it's? I don't know.
It's pigment.
Yeah, it's the amount. It's the amount of melanin in your skin. So how do you what about how do you define that even further? What characteristics do you base that off of? Squinty eyes to be Asian? My eyes are fucking squinty. I've been told all my life that I have really thin, narrow eyes. Does that make me Asian? And I've seen Asian dudes with wider eyes than me. So it's like, where do you draw the line? What is the defining parameter that differentiates one race of human from another, aside from a cosmetic thing on the outside, an exterior color? Birthplace?
Well, like I was saying earlier, I mean, like this is like if you look at somebody like, you know, like Kamala Harris, she's Indian and Jamaican.
Yeah, she's not black.
And, you know, again, she walks around talking about, she's like, you know, like black people.
Anything you can throw in that box is gonna be just as arbitrary.
Exactly. So like, the thing is, like, the Egyptians. I learned this little anecdote the other day. This is an anecdote from my anthropology professor, and he was talking about how when he was a kid, they were filling out like those kidnap cards at the state capitol when you're back in the 80s or whatever you had to fill out. Mm-hmm. And it's like he was filling out this thing, and his friend from Egypt filled out that he was Caucasian. Because Egyptians, for most of the history, they're like, yeah, we're white. We're white people. They called themselves white. The different classes of skin they had were white, black, yellow, and red.
No, did you watch that? There's an amazing episode of, I forget what Randall Carlson's show on Netflix or on YouTube is, but there's a really awesome episode of that where they're breaking down the Sphinx stuff, and they are talking about what race were the ancient Egyptians.
Like tan.
Yeah.
Like a beige, but they called themselves white people. They called themselves Caucasians.
We probably have a lot to believe that they either came from, that they would have come from, like, so
think
like
about
the Mediterranean and...
Yeah, because that's exactly where they came from. Because, like, the Greeks had...
They would have been the Greeks.
Exactly.
They would have been they would have become the Greeks.
The Greeks had their own classification. Every culture has its own classification of race. Because the Greeks had the barbarians, the Ethiopians, the Barbary Coast and stuff. And then like then you have like they had the Ethiopians and the Greeks and that was it. The three of them, Ethiopians, Greeks, and barbarians. And it's like, oh, there are only three races. And as soon as you get conquered by Greece, guess what?
You're Greek.
You're Greek?
No, that
Congratulations, you changed your race. So the whole idea of race is provenly throughout history an actual social construct. It is socially constructed by whatever culture made it. Because you have different races in different regions of the globe. No, what the fucker is a Kurd compared to a Syrian?
Their beliefs.
No, beliefs or the fact that they were born 10 miles down the fucking road from each other.
I mean, probably it's hard to say.
Beliefs what? But like,
I don't know anything about what Syrians or Kurds believe.
So I can go like, you know what? I believe the exact same shit the Kurds believe. Am I Kurdish now? No, because they're an ethnic group, right? Well, what is an actual ethnic group? Just a group of people that have a unique quality, but they're not different. They're the same.
Look at the Uyghurs.
Exactly.
They're just Muslim Asians.
Like most Muslims. Most Muslims are Asians.
That's just because there's so many Asians.
There's just so many.
There's
so many. And the fact, like, this whole racial thing, like,
China's
the fact that
almost 2 billion people. Almost.
And that's why I do disagree with the fact that because I don't think, I agree. Morgan Freeman said this way back when, like, stop calling me a black man and call me a man. I'm paraphrasing, but like, if you want us to get rid of the issue of racial issues, stop talking about race, because we all know it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's the thing, though.
It doesn't mean anything.
It's not going to be, because nobody wants to let it go because of the identity politics stuff.
No, and
this is why I think that the Supreme Court rules that, it is illegal to discriminate along racial lines, because at this point, as a society, the majority of us have come to realize that it's just like, that's not really a good reason to discriminate against. Like, if you want to come in here and act a fool, I'll discriminate against you for that.
I completely agree. You should not think differently of people because of their skin color, culture, or anything like that. But when I'm saying
culture,
no, I mean, fine, creed or.
I was about to say, sure. I mean, you things you can't help.
Sure,
I'll give you that. Things that you can help
because of where they come from. How about that?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Like,
you can't hate on somebody because they come from somewhere else.
Exactly. So it was like you don't. That's a
dick
move.
I can definitely, and I'm not even trying to sound like, but I can understand sounding skeptical in some points in time. Like, I mean, like, it's one of, I mean, like,
sure.
I don't sound good. I don't feel good saying it, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's a natural human reaction, and I think that sweeping it under the rug.
That terrorist they found in Europe, was living a life as a refugee. They found him somewhere. I can't remember.
Well, it's not even that, but you see it all the time with like the Mexicans and like the South Americans that are coming over. Like people look at that situation and they're like,
it's not even just. No,
but but they look at that and like a lot of them think to themselves like, oh, I don't want any of them coming over here because of some bad shit that a handful of them have done.
Yeah, and that's wrong.
It absolutely is. But once again, like the reason
there's a real reason behind it, and the reason people are like, well, look at, it, and I'll have to give you some credit for this because I was listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. But think about the Japanese culture. Let's use Japanese internment in World War II for an example here. What was America's perspective of Japan? this warrior culture was like, you take this fucking dagger. If you don't come home, if you can't come home, use it on yourself. Or if you get captured, kill yourself.
Yeah, no, they're insane.
It was so bred into that culture. And I'm like,
you see that picture of that Australian officer about to get decapitated by that Japanese officer? Nuts.
It's crazy. It's gross.
Nuts.
It's grotesque. And the thing is, like, do I condone what happened in the 1940s with Japanese? No, of course not. I think that's wrong because they were
it's acting
wrong.
Out of fear. You know, you're afraid. You're afraid. So it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to do a fearful reaction.
The American perspective was this culture is like, they could be here. They could be hiding amongst us. They could be these radical and like engaging people against due process. I'm a libertarian. I'm against it by all means. But when people were like, oh, this is exactly what happened. Like I'll applaud my tenured history professor for saying concentration camps and internment camps are two different things. And what's going on the border is not a concentration camp. And I'll applaud her for that. She didn't explicitly say that, but she alluded to the fact that concentration camps are only things that are preludes to genocide. Like internment camps, they can do horrible fucked up things. Like they pretended to do a firing squad on several Japanese internees. It's like, oh, we were just kidding. You're not really getting killed. It's like, that's wrong. And I condemn any member of the military who abuses that power. You know, but like the fact is, the perspective of the American people was they are the kamikazes. They are willing to kill themselves if captured. What are they going to do if they're here? And it wasn't across the country. It was only in California and the West Coast. It was like Oregon and Washington. Japanese largest. I did not know this, but the largest population of Japanese was in Hawaii. They were also not interned. However,
I feel like that makes sense.
However, the island of Oahu, wherever the one Honolulu is on, essentially became a police state because there was 40% of the island was Japanese populace. You cannot intern 40% of your population, even if you're afraid of them. You can't. They're on an island anyway. They're not going anywhere.
Just make it they can't leave.
Pretty much.
That's awful. No, but once again, like I can understand. I'm not saying it's right. You know, I do not condone it in any way. You know, but But I get it.
We
all do it.
I understand.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, like people do it to minor itty bitty degrees. You know, but it's like you hear something that makes you really uncomfortable, and you think, "Wow, that's awful." Mm-hmm. That's how can another culture do that to another culture? That's just a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
And then somebody that comes from that area of the world, you know, like comes over and you just immediately, like the first thought in your mind is just like,
wow, you're one of them, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy. Even if that is immediately dispelled seconds later where you're just like, oh, come on, that's the thing. Like, I got to get to know this person. You know what I mean? Like they're not doing anything.
It was because of public pressure that the internment happened. Well, that, and I don't know, maybe fucking Roosevelt was like, oh, fucking do it.
No, we're always talking about it. We're all, not just the internment, but like we're always talking about these things that divide us and whatnot. And that's why I don't adhere to, do
I think identity politics should be done principally? No, I don't, because I don't think that the idea of race is a concept that we should be talking about. Like, I should never look at somebody and go like, my black friend. No, I should just go like my friend or my Asian friend or my, I don't know, like any of that shit. Like, you shouldn't.
It sounds a bit contradictory to me. If you have this plan where you're like, we are going to bring in more equality by dividing us more.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense.
That makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense. But like that's why I'm saying, like, you stop, like, the whole idea, especially when people are like, oh, you're just yelling them in because you're racist. It's like, no, stop thinking of it as race. Start looking at it as a merit, or like people like look at them as what Martin Luther King said in the "I Have a Dream" speech, I believe it was like, I don't want to be judged on the I'm paraphrasing again because I don't know the actual fucking thing, but like, don't want to be judged by the color of my skin, but the context of my character.
Oh, that's a good point.
Tyler, pull that shit up. I'm sure he's gonna.
I'm sorry.
Martin Luther King, his context. Never mind. It's fine.
But like it's just. I mean, like I said, it's just one of those things, like that you can't let the idea of our division, like of things that we can't help, like divide us.
Sure.
Like, here's my thing, you know what I mean? Like, you can totally be gay, You know what I mean? Like what you do with another person, you know, like in the comfort of your house, who you love, who you want to marry and whatnot, I believe that is completely on you.
Sure.
But, you know, like that is you. That is something that you know, like potentially cannot help. You know what I mean? And that's fair. That's fine. And I don't think that you should be judged for it.
Sure.
But if you want to come out, you know, and act really, you know, like
Flamboyantly gay?
you know, be up in people's face about it,
Then I'll criticize you all day for that.
because, you know, like that's not
annoying.
not the same thing. That is you practicing a certain type of culture.
Sure, and that shit's annoying. You don't go see people who are like, look at my straightness.
Anybody
Look
that
at my
does it. No, I
straight-
mean that's what I'm saying. Like anybody that does. If you do, you know, like people say that all the time. You're like, look at the fucking frat bros. You know, everybody hates the frat bros.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they are. They're the guys that walk around going like, look how straight I am. Like I fucked 10 chicks yesterday.
Like, dude, no one fucking cares.
Yeah, nobody
No one
cares. Yeah, like, are you kidding? Like, you guys care, but nobody else cares.
Sure.
And it's literally the same thing. But anybody that does it. So, like, when I've got, you know, like, when I'm watching the presidential debates, you know what I mean? And Cory Booker keeps trying to circle back around to black voter problems. I'm like, you, Cory, are the one that's exacerbating the problem.
Yeah.
By making it out to be, you know, like an actual issue. Like, why, like you're out here talking about black people not voting like people are keeping them down. Is that the reason that they're not voting? No, it's not. So
people just don't go to vote, man.
Shit tons of, look at how many white people in this country go to vote. I guarantee you it's a very low number. It's a low number all over the place.
I think roughly 50% of the population votes.
Yeah, it's a low number all over the place.
Yeah, and it's like, what blows my mind is the fact that people are like, this is a race-exclusive issue. It's like, is it really? Is poverty, like when people go like, oh, poverty is like an inner city issue. It's like, is it really? When was the last time you drove through West Virginia? Shit looks fucking awful.
No, I know, identity politics.
But you know who that is? It's white people. I'm not saying like, oh, look at poor. No one cares about the whites anymore. It's like, no, like, sure, yes, we all struggle. Look at the Native American population on the Indian reservations.
And hence why I don't think that you should exacerbate the struggles by trying to divide people more along lines that we have since long ago established should not be where we start making divisions.
Yeah, and then, like, here's the thing, right? Like, if you want to see true socialism in work, true government-funded everything, subsidies and everything like that. Look at the reservation system. They get everything handed to them by the United States government. And you know what it's done? That's why they're like, well, we have nothing to fucking do.
I was supposed to say, I mean, like, and there's like, like some of the pictures that you've seen of like some of like the bigger ones and whatnot are not good looking places.
No, it's bad. And they've said stuff like, what do you just, why are you helping us like this? Like, what are you doing? Like, stop doing this. They don't want the kind of help that the government's giving them like that because it's perpetuating the issue.
No, I mean, like, I think, see, once again, you know, like we're at a point where when it comes to shit like nowadays in 2019, I don't understand the point of like if you know, like let the tribes keep the land that they've been given and whatnot, but it's just like, why
the government needs to leave, like, here's your sovereignty.
Yeah, no, leave it at that. Like, yeah, you really shouldn't give them anything extra on top of what they're already getting, because it's like if they want to walk off the reservation and come into the country, they're more than welcome. You know, like they can.
Yeah.
Like you can be born on the reservation in basically another sovereign land, and then
still be an American citizen.
Yeah, and then you're still an American citizen. You still have dual citizenship with your tribe and your.
Yeah, just like but like that's the thing that like that's land that like.
But that's buying into more tribalism. In 2019, you know, like that's basically saying like, hey, you're different. Here's something that we've already did to compensate you for being different than the things that we've done to you, obviously.
I think what the context would be is like, you are not, they are a group of people. You can call them like racial, I guess. You can call it a racial group because, I mean, by common, I'm air quoting this, but like by the common standards that we have, like you could call it, by the common understanding, you can call it a racial group, sure. Not by my agreed upon standing that I've stated earlier, but
I would say that
sure, you could.
They just
for conversation's sake, yes, you can call it by a racial. You can say it a racial standard, yeah, as a racial group of people. But you can also look at it as an organized group of people.
There's not. It's hard
because you can have say Navajo like genetics in your system somewhere, but you have to be recognized by the nation to be part of them. Like you don't have to be part of the Navajo like nation. Like it's just you only can be based on your heritage. I mean, like that's like the same thing works with a lot of like organizations. Like, well, yeah, you can't come in here unless your father was part of here, or like some shit like that.
No, that's fair. No, I mean like because,
I mean, like yes, it's inherently it's like yes, you can't. But it's like, well, if I marry a member who's part of the Navajo community and we have a child together, that child will have that ability. I mean, I won't. But I mean, like I'm sure they won't have an issue of them bringing their family on, but they might. Who fucking knows?
No, and that's kind of like my issue.
But what I'm saying is like the government needs to leave them to their own devices. That is the best thing for them.
No, and I was just about to say, I mean, because like at this point in time, it's like, what more do you want? What more could we possibly give you? It's like, first of all, in 2019, if there's any, like Native American, blooded people walking around here that are like still super pissed off about like the colonization. Of course there are. Of course there are.
Yeah,
but like people who are still like, like people who are still pissed off about the colonization of the New World have absolutely no idea what.
Go to every other country in the world and go like, give your land back to everybody else.
First of all, like we came over here, like the Europeans before they colonized anything came over here and just killed them all with disease and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then when we came in here and we were starting to colonize shit, like we moved through and killed most of the rest. So like we run into these, like these weird issues because it's like, I think that like you said, we should just give them, here's like, you've got your land, like you've got your citizenship. That's the only thing that we can do. You've lived your entire life in the modern world. For you to be upset about something that happened 300 plus years ago, 400 plus years ago in certain situations is outrageous because the world that you are thinking you have no idea
Everyone needs
what that world would even look like.
Think about this. How long ago was 1500?
Like 500
years ago. I mean, like 500 years ago. What has happened since the year 1500? A lot of shit.
No, insane amounts of stuff.
A lot of shit. That's when we first. I mean, you can argue it's like, well, they were doing shit to the Native Americans back in. In 1890, you can look at 1890s what was going on with the Carlisle School and stuff like that. But that was an attempt at like cooperation. I mean, like they offered citizenship to these people.
Look, I'm not saying,
and some of them didn't want it. And like, what happened between them? I'm not saying it's not an atrocity. Sure, and like then that's a moral objective thing.
Yeah, but so like that's the thing. Like once again, like, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Like we all have that kind of bias against because of like past atrocities committed by
people who
small sections of
people who aren't me.
Yeah, and it's just this thing where you kind of like like, oh well, like all the white men fucking rallied up all of us and marched us across the country and shot us in these fields and did all this stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah. Like nobody that I was potentially related to did that. Nobody that, like nobody who's walking around right now is thinking to themselves like, thank God my grandfather, my great grandfather freaking rounded up all those Indians and murdered them. Nobody's thinking that.
Yeah, no.
I mean, obviously there might be like a super small population of people.
You can count them on one fucking hand.
All right, what time is it?
Almost 9 o'clock.
Almost 9 o'clock. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up. This has been Illuminatio. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will catch you next time.